for life engineering, processes that combine science, wisdom, and spirituality to build a life of alignment. Joining Dr. Pat is your host, Gabriela Embon, bringing you bi-weekly wisdom nuggets, your step-by-step guidance to build a life of no regrets. Stay tuned as they uncover powerful processes for you to realize your true potential. Are you ready for some magic wisdom? Life engineering starts now.
Hey everybody, welcome. This is Dr. Pat. I am so honored to be able to take this journey and do this show with the most amazing Gabriela. And I have been so excited looking forward to this episode. Look, I just got off a phone sharing with my team about my coach, one of my coaches who lives in New York. And why am I sharing that with you? Because we can gain insights from people. And some days those insights have a light bulb go on, and other times it's like a dimmer switch, slowly, and then you get it. Today, Gabriela has got a very special show, 7 best insights about living your destiny. So important, from thought leaders at the Archangel Summit. Gabriela, I have been waiting to hear what you have to say. I reflected this morning with my team on a conversation with one of my coaches that went back to 2010. And what he said to me gave me the courage to start the network. 2010 and 2009 were the worst economic times, which we don't even talk about them anymore. But they were hard on so many people. And what I learned from him, I learned in his answer to 3 questions that I asked him. And I said, Joe, what the heck are you doing about the economic downturn? What are you doing with all your sales, your clients? What economic downturn? Second question, Joe, what are you doing? Have you changed your process in what you're doing with your clients? How are you reacting to what your clients, have they, are they cutting back? What cutting back? Third question, look, I'm getting callers calling to the show. This is the worst time we've ever gone through here. And I have to make a decision about whether I'm going to launch a network in the worst economic downturn that people are recording. What economic downturn? And that's all I'm going to say about Joe. My lesson was perspective, destiny, perspective.
Change your story, change your destiny.
And I want to hear what you've learned. I can't wait. Take it away.
So first of all, as I was sitting in that conference and participating, all I could think was, I can't wait to share this with our community. So, and it's what your coach said is so true. The topic of the conference was change your story, change your destiny. So, and it's not always, obvious to change your story. When many people are telling the same story, you might get convinced this is actually the story, right? So today I want to start with James Quick. He was the first speaker at the conference, and I was writing for each speaker and each presenter the key takeaways, at least for me. I think that's important when you go to a conference like that. They gave you a notebook. For me, it was on my phone. It's easier, it's faster. But to really be fully in and take note, not just listen. So what I retained from James Quick, besides his story being fascinating, is his teaching was about the difference between what I feel and what I do and where my choice resides. So first of all, he started by saying, for a moment, acknowledge and honor all that you are instead of all that you are not. Most people tell themselves the story of what I'm not. But I'm not saying ignore it. Just tell a different story. And the different story is what I am. Not to turn what I'm not into I am. No, don't lie to yourself. It's not going to work. But tell the story of what you are. So he said, if you fight your limitations, you get to keep them. That was brilliant.
Well, let me ask you this before you even go on. I just got off a call, and I wish I would have done the show before I did the call, but I basically had to say that to someone I asked the team, what are you most excited about? Right? And when you tell stories of your disappointment and your past, that is an energy that becomes like sticky glue on your wiring. But what you just said is the key, isn't it?
Definitely. You don't want to fight them, but you also don't want to dwell in them, right? They're there for as long as they want to be. Fine. But the idea is to look at what we can do. And he said, ask yourself, you ask, what are you most excited about? He said, ask yourself, what do you want to be? What do you want to do? What do you want to have? And what do you want to share? Right? The be, do, have is all about me. But we know that we're really here for a calling, for a purpose, for service. So what do you want to share? And when you get clear about that, you start living a life of intention, right? It's the first step. And then your subconscious go, oh, that's what you want. Okay, let's get to work. Let's make it happen. And the second thing that stayed with me from his talk was the power of conscious choice. You know, he said, the French philosopher Jean-Paul Sartre said, life is C between B and D, meaning that life, we live in the choices we make between B and D. C is choices, B is birth, D is death. So to truly cause and co-create our destiny, which was the topic, it starts with dreaming. Then our dream will spark our possibilities. But the problem is that sometimes people feel, they get caught up in the old stories. And I said, don't fight the stories, like he says, right? If you fight them, you get to keep them. Don't fight them. Let them be. Because if you understand that you don't need to think a certain way and you don't need to feel in a certain way to take action, then you'll free yourself from those stories. There is that space between what I think, feel, and what I need to do. And people say, well, I'm waiting to feel it, to be motivated. No. Thoughts and feelings create actions, but actions also create thought and feelings. So we exercise our conscious choice when we understand that between our thoughts and feelings, there's a gap. And our actions, there's a gap. And in that gap lies the conscious choice. I might feel like eating the entire cake, but now, do I want to act based on my feelings and thoughts that I really want it, that I'm so tired that I deserve this? Or do I want to act from a place of conscious choice? And when I pause and say, okay, this is what I feel, this is what I'm thinking, I'm not going to fight it, but I do have a choice of what I do. And I think this is what sometimes we miss, to understand that conscious choice between feelings and thoughts and actions. They're two different things. You can feel it. You don't have to act on it. So that was the beginning of the conference, understanding the power of our conscious choice.
Yeah.
And to choose in alignment to where we want to be, right?
Yeah.
Or what our future self will be so proud of us. What would your future self thank you for? So that was the first one.
It's very powerful. Very, very powerful. And along with this goes everything you've shared in all the previous interviews with all the tools. For people that are saying, how do I, Gabriela? Today we're sharing about things that you can shift in a minute. And what you just shared is so powerful. It is even difficult to put words to the energy and the transformation that happens when you can do that. I don't even have the words.
One of the tools that help, by the way, when you say, how do I do that? I'm feeling a certain way. I can't help it but follow those feelings with actions. How do I actually help myself act differently and not giving into the stories that is in my head? Mm-hmm. One powerful, powerful tool that I find in this case is mind rehearsals. You can do that even with cravings. You can imagine that you are craving the foods that you normally crave. I don't know, sugar, carbs, and you feel the crave and you feel like grabbing whatever that is in front of you. You see that, but you don't. And the more you practice that in your mind, that mind rehearsal, you lose the grip on that grip. I actually use mind rehearsal. It was extremely powerful before, because when I, last week I competed for the Speaker Slam talk, inspirational talk. And I realized that I knew my talk by heart. I could say it in any situation, with the music, with being busy, people talking to me, I could say the talk. There was only one situation that would help me forget the words. And that was when I imagined myself going on stage. I will feel my heart pumping. I will feel the stress. And then I would start forgetting words here and there. And I thought to myself, I need to work on that. I'm going to use mind rehearsal. So I started imagining that I'm walking to the stage and I am the lights, the people, everything. And I would feel it in my heart. And I start saying my speech. And the more I practiced that, the less intense it felt. By the time I went on stage, I didn't feel that at all, because I already been there so many times, right? It's like what athletes do. At the end, they don't practice anymore. They do that mind rehearsal of the entire game. So the more I did that, the easier it was for me to lose the grip on I'm on stage.
Yeah. It's so funny you're bringing this up. I went to play on Saturday, my sport, and I always prepare before I get on the court. I do. I have a headset. I listen to music. I go on the exercise bike. I get, what did you say, the rehearsal. But last week, somebody said, come on, hurry up. You got to play. We need somebody. And I knew better than to do that. And I went and played. And I will tell you, I will never do that again, because I wasn't ready. Not that I wasn't ready, that I didn't practice. My mind wasn't ready. And boy, did that show up. I mean, honestly, if I had a dime for everybody saying, what's the matter with you? You're really off today. But this is life. We can rehearse everything, can't we?
Yeah, we have the best tool, our mind. See, your mind can travel in time, past and future. We usually travel to the past, not so much to the future. So we don't use it enough for creating our dreams. And yeah, we can teach ourselves to be in conscious choice using mind rehearsal.
Yeah.
So the other speaker that I really like what she had to say was Susie Ashworth from Infinite Receiving. And she said, rather than, when you feel stuck, ask yourself, what's the best next step for me? I really like that, because it's not what do I need to do to get unstuck. It's not the bigger picture. It's just what's the next best step for me right now with where I am right now. And I find that can really help you put one foot forward. Then we had Stephen Convery. He used a beautiful quote about sacrifice. Mm-hmm. He says, you cannot fulfill your dreams if you don't sacrifice. Now, you start thinking, I don't want to sacrifice, right? That's hard work. That's not what he meant. He said, let me explain to you what sacrifice is. Sacrifice is letting go of something good to create something better or greater. And I thought, wow, that's a sacrifice that is actually quite appealing, inviting, right? We usually perceive the word sacrifice as suffering. But what if it doesn't have to be? I let go of this in order to create this. And that's important, because many times we are still holding on to the old because it works, because it's good.
Yeah.
And then we're not moving forward into the great. So that was great. That's a great reminder. Then, of course, we have Hal Elrod, the Miracle Morning author. He said, if you need two decisions, if two decisions to create your life, you need two. to create your destiny. One is to have unwavering faith. You need to believe in yourself. You need to believe things are possible. And the other one is extraordinary effort. One of the rarest qualities actually is consistency in people. So extraordinary effort is not extraordinary things. I think what he meant, he didn't say that, but I believe that what he meant by extraordinary effort is not that you need to do something extraordinary, it's that you actually need to be consistent. You need to keep going even when you don't see results, which ties into the faith.
I mean, what you just said is so important, because if I tied all the people you just referenced, here's what the takeaway is. And I want you to keep going because this is so important. If I listen to that, first of all, you have to have unshakable faith. You must have unshakable faith. My brand is unstuckable. So I say you have got to have unstuckable faith. There is nothing that needs to stick onto your faith, right? But when you put all three of those thoughts together you shared, I'm going to paraphrase and then I want you to go to the next one. One, you don't ruminate about the past.
That's right.
Yeah. I just had a friend go through this with a family relative who will not let go of the past. And, to hear somebody talk about you, not about themselves, but the past. The second part was, for me, use your imagination. And the third part that you just shared is when you let go of something, you let go with the perspective and the faith that you're letting go for better. Now, we're not going to stop there because we got more.
We got more. The next one was Philip McKernan. He talked about the power of why. He says, people don't know why it matters to you, it won't matter to them. So, be sure that whatever you do, it matters to you and why you're doing it. And he said, when you're busy seeking the approval of a few, you can impact the many. That's about playing small to protect one person. It keeps you from playing big to impact many. So that was huge.
That's gigantic.
Yeah. These are sentences, but they're huge, right?
Yeah.
And I like that we're talking about different ones because I believe each listener will resonate with a different one. So hopefully there's a nugget for everybody. Then it was Jillian Mandich. She's a researcher about happiness. She actually did an exercise with us. She says, close your eyes, imagine you have now $10,000 given to you as a gift. Okay, you have $10,000. I'll give you 4 options that you can choose how to use it. 1, you can go on a trip. 2, you can go on a shopping spree and get a whole new wardrobe. 3, you can donate to your favorite charity. And 4, you can get $200 a week to pamper yourself for a year. What would you do? So, people
it's an interesting question.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah. Some are like, there's no way I'm doing this, but I'm debating between these two. So the answer is background research. He said about happiness. Happiness is like going to the gym. It's not a one-time thing. You actually have to do it consistently. So the $200 a week, it's better than going on a trip or donating or looking to get a satisfaction in one day, because you don't go to the gym once, have your best workout and think that's over. The same principle applies to happiness. Even if you do the trip of your life and you were the happiest ever, you rather have small doses of happiness over time than a one big dose. And that's why you want to divide it in per week during a year. That was very interesting, actually. Because at the end we realize that everything extraordinary is created by that compound effect of ordinary things.
Yeah. I mean, it's amazing.
And then we have the beautiful Brianna Weiss, the author of The Mountain Is You. Besides the fact that she is so beautiful, not just her face, it's just her energy, the way she speaks. She said, the greatest act of self-love is to no longer accept a life you're unhappy with. That resonated with me. You have no idea how much.
That's worth saying again. Say that one more time. That right there. Come on now. Go ahead.
The greatest act of self-love is to no longer accept a life you are unhappy with. I always said I can compromise with less than unhappiness, right? So that resonated very much with me because I'm all about a life of no regrets. For me, it's in career and primary relationship, but listening to her made me realize that unwillingness to compromise in my primary relationship and my career, I started seeing that as an act of self-love. Well, before I didn't. I thought, well, this is who I am. This is what I believe. But now I understand it's beyond what I believe. It's an act of self-love.
Yeah, it is.
And I wonder what acts of self-love do we do that we don't see them as an act of self-love?
Yeah. I have to tell you, look, I spent a year with my best friend and I didn't even understand what I was walking into. But outside of her not being very well, I saw the compromises that she had to make. And I say had to make because that's her. I saw the compromises and the accumulation of them. And so it's no surprise that when my best friend goes to the doctor, there's nothing wrong with her. But this is what happens. And this is why what you're sharing is so important. Each of the people you're bringing forward has something, a message in it for each of us, doesn't it?
That's right. That's what I was hoping. To be completely honest, I was hoping that this episode will have a message for every listener, wherever you are. Another thing that Brianna said, she said, when you enter the arena of doing, there's no more planning. It's not about the future anymore. All life will ever ask you or ask from you, is to work with what you have today the best you can. You don't have to plan. You just need to look at what you have right now and do the best that you can with that. And that's all you are required to do. And I also absolutely love that because it is our present that creates the next step. Is that concept that clarity gets revealed as I walk and do my best with what we have right now. Mm-hmm. So, yeah. It's the concept of the pilot. Do a pilot. Do with what you have right now. Stop planning. Start. So, yeah. And then, so that was on Saturday, which I have to tell you, the example that we started with, there's a difference between what you feel and think and what you do. I actually experienced that before I even listened to him, because on my way there, okay, my husband was driving me an hour and a half. We're driving to downtown Toronto, and I know there's going to be 1,000 people in the conference, and it's all day. And then there is an event after that I'm also invited. I'm thinking to myself, this is not for the introverted me. What am I doing? What was I thinking? I want to go home. I can feel the anxiety in my chest, and I tell my husband, I feel so anxious. I don't want to go. This is not for me. I don't speak with 1,000 people. Of course, you don't speak with 1,000 people, but in my mind, the story. And at the same time, I keep going, right? So I could feel all that chatter, but still do the thing that I need to do. And when I was there, it was absolutely fun. I had a great time, and I dare doing things that I wouldn't normally do, like approaching the head of the conference with my book. And saying, if you want a speaker about marriage next year, here's my book. Very good. Taking a picture with him. What got into me, I don't know, but I didn't let that chatter I could tell the difference. This is what my mind is saying, and this is what I'm going to do. So it is that space between thought and action that the conscious choice is creating for you. Yeah.
Yeah. What a powerful message today. And I want to encourage everybody, if you've missed any part of this, go back. But these are nuggets. I can't thank you enough for sharing these today, because not only do I believe what you shared taps into both the mental part of who we are, but the emotional part and the physical part, because it all ties it together. And let's not forget the spiritual part. Gabriela, thank you so much. What do you want to leave us with? And how do people find out more about you?
I want to leave you with a short story. Short story. The next day, I play with a 16-month baby. I sat on the floor and played cards with the baby. And I was at my friend's house near Toronto. And, he would throw the track to me. And at a certain point, he threw it the opposite direction. Instead of getting up and going and getting the track, I said to him, no, I'm here. And you send the track that way. He doesn't speak, obviously. He's 16 months. So he got up, picked it up. And when he was on a different vector, he course corrected and sent the track my way. And I thought to myself, wow, a 16-month baby knows how to course correct. I hope he never forgets. He never forgets not to give up and that we can always course correct. And that's what life is all about.
And how to absolutely tap into his desire to play with you and know what it takes to make that happen.
Absolutely.
Gabriela, thank you. How do people find out about you? How do they get your book?
Oh, my book, Becoming a Power Couple, Amazon. That's the easiest way. And GabrielaEmbon.com or coachingacademy.net.
I love it. Gabriela, thank you so much for today. Thank you for these words of wisdom. I'm always amazed at what you share is exactly what I personally need to hear. But I guarantee the many, many people out there as well are grateful for your message. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Dr. Pat. Thank you to our listeners.
Yeah, thank you so much for tuning us in. Moxie, thank you for hitting all the right buttons. Well, rather, Emily, thank you for hitting all the right buttons, and we'll see you next time.
You have been listening to Life Engineering, processes that combine science, wisdom, and spirituality to create a life of alignment on TransformationTalkRadio.com. Join host Gabriela Embon and Dr. Pat every first and third Tuesday at 11 a.m. Pacific for bi-weekly wisdom nuggets on how to create your perfect synergy between your mind, body, and spirit in order to realize your true potential. For more information, visit Gabriela at coachingacademy.net.